it's not really enjoyable to make music now. I think the majority of people don't enjoy the majority of the time they spend making music.
I couldn't disagree more. Welcome back to This Month in Music. I'm Ben, and this month we are kicking things off with Fender. And that's because the Fender Telecaster has made it to 75 years old. That's almost as old as I feel, and almost old enough to make it a sitting US president. Of course, the Telecaster has been a mainstay in indie, country, rock, all kinds of genres. Frankly, it's hard to find a genre that the Telecaster hasn't played a part in shaping over the years. I guess the takeaway is simple. Not many guitars make it to 75 years old and still remain relevant. The Telecaster effectively built the blueprint as far as that's concerned. But the age-old question still remains, what's better, a Stratocaster or a Telecaster? Spicy answers in the comment section only, please. Anyway, that's Fender's big news for the month. Now let's have a look at what we've been up to on our channels throughout March. So first up, we've got Akai's latest MPC, the Sample, designed to go anywhere and, as the name suggests, sample anything. At its core, it's a compact unit designed to be taken out and about, sample things on the fly using its internal microphone, and then produce things on the go thanks to its internal battery. Now, this video went out on the Synth and Tech channel, but as a guitarist and someone who's admittedly not really that plugged into the MPC world personally, I was really intrigued by this one.
How does it feel and how does it perform in comparison to other units that you've used?
Well, it's been really cool to play around with it. I really love the size of it, to be honest, because it's perfect for just fitting into your bag if you want to, go out and about and just, pull it out of your bag anytime.
Akai sent Gnarly down to have a chat with Curtis in the studio about the MPC, specs and features, going over all of the detail, but we also went out for a quick jaunt with Gnarly around York. And seeing how Gnarly used the MPC Sample out and about was actually really inspiring. It might just convince me to go and pick up an MPC Sample for myself. I mean, the thing sounds amazing, and just look at how cool and retro this thing is. So even if sampling isn't necessarily your cup of tea, I really would recommend you take a look at this one. It might well surprise you. Then next up, it was Dan Electro Guitars over on the Guitars channel. Now, Dan Electro have always done things a little bit differently, but are they still truly relevant in 2026? Well, Tom did just that. He got the whole range of Dan Electro's weird and wonderful lineup for 2026 and sat down with them in the studio to find out what still makes them relevant decades after these guitars were first introduced.
Dan Electro has never really gone away, but at the same time, it's never quite ascended to the mainstream. Thanks to kind of selective artist usage and iconic instances, they've always been there, but never at the fore. Which leads the question as to, are they still relevant now?
Now, if you've ever visited the Gear4music Guitars channel before, you'll probably know that I'm a bit of a metal guy, it's fair to say. And for that reason, Dan Electro's never quite tickled my pickle in a way that I've felt I need to go and pick one up and give it a try. However, while these were in the studio, I actually managed to get my hands on them and have a little try, and I think I might have been missing a trick. The baritone guitar in particular shocked me with how playable, dare I say shreddable it was? I don't know, maybe I've just been trapped in the Gear4music studio for too long, but next time you get a chance to have a go with the Dan Electro guitar, have a play and tell me if you think I'm finally losing it. And then last up, over on the drums channel, Laurie got a chance to sit down with some really fancy, colourful looking SJC Snares and just beat the hell out of them to see what they sound like. Now, I'm no drummer, but for one, the colour of that SJC kit was enough for me to stop and take a look. All these snares are limited edition, and while they obviously look visually very interesting, when Laurie started hammering on those things, you realise very quickly how much those snares can project. So if you're even contemplating getting a new snare and you want something that's visually stunning but has that really bold, punchy kind of sound, before you press go on anything else, just give this video a quick watch.
This is an SJC custom snare drum in a fantastic indigo flow finish. It's 8 plies of maple and it's 14x7 in diameter and depth. I really like the sound of this, it's really bright and cutting. Black hardware, it's got offset beaver tail lugs to keep it really well in tune. I would say of the 5, this is definitely the dark horse.
But don't worry, it's not all about gear this month. There's also been some new music landing, so let's take a look at the new releases. That's it, Lamb of God are back with a new album called Into Oblivion, and it's been on repeat for me basically since it came out. There's so many good tracks on this one, but for me, the first track and the title track at that is just my absolute favourite. It's such a hard hitter. This is just one of those albums that if you're even remotely into heavy music, it's hard to listen to this from start to finish without grimacing your face into a fist of disgusting agreement. There are, of course, riffs for days, but that's not what's got the fans talking most. Strangely, the thing that's got all the fans talking this time round is in fact Lamb of God's new logo, which for me doesn't necessarily feel particularly Lamb of God. It's a little bit more early 2000s new metal. Apparently, frontman Randy Blythe has said that he thought that the old logo felt a little bit too much like a logo of a falafel restaurant. Personally, I don't quite see the resemblance, but if the owner of my local takeaway is listening, there is a new font available, so stick on a lamb shawarma and I'll see you in the pit. Anyway, the album, absolutely great. The logo, 50-50. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Then next up, Black Label Society have dropped a new album titled Engines of Demolition with a very special tribute baked in at the end. As I'm sure many of you know, Zakk Wylde, as well as being the frontman for Black Label Society, also worked as the guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne and contributed to his overall sound in a lot of his solo material. For example, No More Tears just would not have sounded the same without that signature Zakk Wylde squealy in the verse section. So when the Prince of Darkness said his final farewell last year, Zakk obviously wanted to pay tribute to his friend and former bandmate. In an emotional final track simply titled Ozzy's Song, Zakk did just that. This one was part thank you, part farewell, and clearly very much from the heart. Regardless, the album is out now and there's an awful lot to love, so be sure to give it a spin. Next up, less heavy and more Harry. That's because Harry Styles streamed his one-night-only concert live on Netflix. The show was filmed at the Co-op Live Arena in Manchester, and it certainly had some interesting quirks. So first of all, mobile phones were banned, and fans were given disposable cameras if they wanted to take pictures of the performance. Now, I actually sympathise with Harry on this one. I much prefer the idea of not seeing a sea of faces lit up by smartphones when I'm performing. As a musician, you engage much more with your audience when your audience is engaged back with you. Although I will admit, a 100 capacity venue on a Tuesday night in Doncaster doesn't quite have the same effects as an arena, so I'm going to trust Harry's judgment on this one. There were also reports, as is becoming often the case with Netflix live events, that there was an issue with the stream itself. Although if memory serves, the Co-op Live Arena had no shortage of issues trying to get open in the first place, so maybe the place is just cursed. Also, handing out disposable cameras to that particular demographic of fans was, let's say, brave. Apparently there was quite a few reports of fans thinking that the cameras were broken when in fact they just hadn't wound the film on. Now, look, I know I'm a dinosaur now, but not knowing how to wind on a film in a disposable camera is just objectively funny to me. Anyway, from artists to industry, there's been some big shifts behind the scenes, so let's take a look at the news. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably starting to get a little bit annoyed with how much AI is digging its way into music. There has always been the argument that if you're using AI to help with the creation as a tool, rather than using it to create the music itself, then that's kind of okay. But apparently there's some people that just didn't get the memo. This is because Deezer have now said that a third of all music which has been posted on their platform in 2026 was actually made using AI. This has become such a big problem now that even Apple has started tagging AI-generated music on its platforms as well. Now this is frustrating, but it didn't really make me angry until I heard what the CEO of Suno was saying. Take a listen to this.
It's not really enjoyable to make music now.
Why did you say that?
It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. You need to get really good at an instrument or really good at a piece of production software. I think the majority of people don't enjoy the majority of the time they spend making music.
Now, I don't know about you, but when I heard this, my heckles went absolutely thermonuclear. See, for me, playing guitar was one of the best decisions that I ever made. It got me into bands when I was a teenager that gave me friendships that I still have now as a guy in my mid-30s. It got me into doing the job that I'm doing now. This very conversation that I'm having is because I learned how to play guitar when I was 16. Heck, I even met my wife because she was wearing a band shirt of a band that I knew because I played guitar. There's so many things in my life that have happened that were such net positives, all because I learned how to play an instrument. So, sorry, CEO of Suno, I couldn't disagree more. Now, just to be super clear, I'm not pretending to be some AI purist here. I've used AI tools in the making of this very video that you're watching, but I absolutely would not use AI to write my next album for me. So, be honest with me. Is AI purely there to generate evil AI corporate slop? Or is it a tool that we should be using, but sparingly? Right, that's it for the news. Let's take a look at events. So a quick throwback to last month, I said that we were going to send the guys down to the UK Guitar Show, and we did just that. Tom and Fraser went down for a little look around, had a great conversation with Ace from Skunk and Nancy, that's available on the YouTube channel now, and they also managed to drop into the Line 6 booth to have a go with the new Helix Stadium. I'll leave links to both of those in the description for you. Well, if you think that that was très bien, then prepare yourself because the UK isn't the only place with a guitar show right now. March also sees France's take on this with the Paris Guitar Show, taking place over 5 days as a celebration of all things guitar and guitar culture related. So, if like me, you've been able to get over finally the Anglo-French Wars of 1193 to 1815, and perhaps you've developed a little bit of a penchant for Vigier guitars or lag guitars, or maybe you just fancy a cheeky pain au chocolat, turns out Gay Paris is indeed the place to be. So that was March 2026. If you've got any tips, rumours or things that you think we should just keep an eye on, let us know in the comment section below or on our social media channels. And as always, links to everything that we've discussed in this episode are available in the description below. But until next time, my name is Ben, and I'll see you then.